Okay, it's wow, I got 2 views, 3 views. What uh peace, Hotep sent it, Lisa. I didn't think anybody was gonna be on here. Uh peace to that, Sophie. I didn't think anybody was gonna be on here. You know I don't sleep. But I had said I was gonna come back on here after I did my presentation. To talk real quick, to give a quick build on Alexander Falconbridge. So I'm just gonna read the oral piece of Jadaris, brother Jadaris Smith piece. I didn't think anybody was gonna be on at this time of night. I just was gonna go on and just record the video real quick. I'm going. It's 2:06 a.m. my way, so I'm just gonna share some information on him. I'm gonna read just the article from Alexander Falconbridge book and just break down some of the information. Just kind of go a little bit on what I was talking about in the presentation today when I the slide that was dealing with where I showed our ancestors on the slave ship on the top of the deck, and and they was out there had to exercise, and Alexander Frankenbridge was one of the individuals. He was a surgeon, he was a doctor, so he took uh, a couple of voyages on the slave ships from West Africa into the Americas. So I just wanted to share some of his firsthand accounts of some of the things that he saw while he was on the boat, and some of it is in his book, and I'll show his book on Amazon.com when I get through. But I just gonna read something off a publication of an insert from his book of some of the first-hand accounts. So this is some of the first-hand accounts from Alexander Frankenbridge, Falconbridge, excuse me, which later on became abolished and ended up moving to Sierra Leone. So I just wanted to share some quick information, just since I said I was gonna come back later on my channel, and I try to be a man of my word. Just come back on the channel and just read some information off from this brother real quick. So I mean, y'all can stay on if you want to. Y'all can log off if you want to and come back on later on. Like I said, I didn't know y'all anybody was gonna be up at this time. I'm shit. I'm up till the sun come up. So I'm gonna go ahead and get it in. I'm gonna just treat it like it's an everyday show. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna do a Hotep Dino suit because I try to do Hotep Dino suits when I'm on my YouTube channel. I don't do them too much when I'm on my Facebook page. But let me share my screen and we'll get it in. If y'all want to stay on, uh, I appreciate it. Hotep Edmund, we will all still up. Okay, ain't no problem. Okay, 2 hours here, we're good. Okay, yeah, okay. If y'all, like I said, if y'all want to stay on, y'all can stay on with me, rock out with me real quick, or y'all can come back in and later on and uh check it out. But let me get started real quick. It's not gonna be too long at all. Okay, let me go to okay. I appreciate that too, brother Edmonds, man. I do. I appreciate y'all support so much, man. I really do, man. More Riri to y'all, man. That more Riri means appreciation, but y'all should know that by now. I appreciate y'all and the support and the love. But let's get started real quick so I can jump off of here and get back to reading, I reckon.
Man in the full knowledge of himself is a superb and supreme picture of creation. When man becomes possessor of the knowledge of himself, he becomes master of his environment, the captain of his own ship, the director of his own destiny, the accomplisher of his own ends. Man should understand himself because man is full of knowledge, and this knowledge is a gift of nature. When Mother Nature created man, she deprived him of nothing. He was given the faculty of understanding all things around him. This faculty for understanding has not been taken away from him. None of his senses have been taken away from him. So there is no excuse for the black man.
Raising my team, red, black, and green, queens and kings, salute, now scream, I should bring from another hit, I should vibe with a different frequency. I'm raising my team, red, black, and green, queens and kings, salute, now scream, I should bring from another hit, I should vibe with a different frequency, I should.
All right. Well, I wanted to do, like I say, I try to do when I go on my YouTube channel, Kofi Paisa TV. I try to do a Hotep Dina suit, which is an offering formula to the Egungun, the ancestor, the Aku, the ancestor who had transitioned into the ancestral realm. So in the corner here, I have Malcolm X, better known as El Hajj Malik El Shabazz. I have Father Allah, excuse me, or Chester 13. I mean Clarence 13. I mean, I have Dr. Khalid Muhammad, and I have Huey P. Newton. So all of these are ancestors, and February the 17th was Huey P's birthday. So his birthday just passed. Um, excuse me, Malcolm X uh passing, he died February the 21st, 1965. So his death just passed a few days ago. We have here Clarence 13, better known as Father Allah. Um man, I can't remember. His birthday is man, let me see real quick too, because I don't want to get his birthday wrong. Hold on one sec. It's February the something. Hold on. Bear with me one second. If somebody already know, you can just let me know. And if not, just give me 1 second. And I thought I wrote it down. Okay. His birthday was February the 22nd, 1928. So his birthday was just a few days ago. We have Dr. Khalid Muhammad. His death was February the 17th, 2001. So all these brothers are our great historic ancestors, and so I wanted to give a Hotep Dina soup to these ancestors. And at the top here, you have the sesh. Let me see if my thing working here. Okay, yeah, at the top here with my arrows at, you have the sesh here. You have the transliteration here in the middle, and you have the translation at the bottom. So it says Hotep Dina Sut Wuser Neb Jadu Necha A Neb Abdu DF Per Haret T Hinket Ket Hapet Sesh Minket Nebet Neferet Wabet Anket Necha M Inka In Imaku Ma Karu. The translation: an offering which the kings give Wusir, Lord of Jadu, the great deity, Lord of Obitos, that he may give a voice offering of calf, fowling, linen, alabaster, and all good and pure things in which a deity lives, to the revered ones, Dr. Khalid Muhammad, Malcolm X, Father Allah, and Huey P. Newton, justified. So I have ancestors there. I just put the ancestors there, but I could have put all their names, but I just recited all their names in the Hotep Dina suit, justified or true of voice. That's what Makaru means, justified or true voice. All right. Let me go to this. Let's see. Well, if it's gonna, let me stop sharing real quick. sharing. Go back to share screen. All right. So let's see if my screen showing. Hold on, let me scroll. I thought I was sharing my screen. Okay. So this is something from digital history. This is out of Alex Falconbridge books, An Account of Slave Trade on the Coast of Africa, 1788. And I'll show the book on Amazon for those that may be interested. He has a few versions on Amazon.com. All right. Like I said, this is just gonna be a little quick build. This was just something I was talking about early in the slides. I said I was gonna come back and talk about Alexander Falconbridge real quick and give some of his firsthand accounts of him being on the slave ship. And again, he was a surgeon, and later on he became an abolitionist. All right. Uh, 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 and notation: Alexander Falconbridge, a surgeon, aboard slave ships, and later the governor of British colony for the free slaves of Sierra Leone, offered by a vivid account of the Middle Passage. And later on, I'm gonna come back. I don't know when. Maybe after I go to Fayette. I supposed to have been doing a presentation. Not a presentation. It was not going to be a presentation, but it was going to be something uh, dealing with the plantation that was in Fayette, which is not that far from me at all. It burnt down, but I wanted to go to where the land was at. So I wanted to talk about the American Colony Society, the Mississippi Colony Society, talk about their plantation, um, uh, and talk real quick about the plantation and talk about the people that was freed on the plantation that was in Fayette, Mississippi, how they was freed and where they ended up. They ended up in Sierra Leone. So I wanted to, and I'm going to talk about it, but I want to go to the site first. I want to, I guess video me there and then take some pictures and then kind of incorporate it in the bill, and then talk about the Mississippi Colony Society and talk about the American Colony Society and who these people were and what is their connection to Sierra Leone and what is their connection to Liberia. Because we know that Sierra Leone and Liberia was free towns, but they was free towns at certain periods of times. And I wanted to kind of talk about Liberia and Sierra Leone and talk about the American Colony Society, the Mississippi Colony Society, and that plantation and how those people on the plantation in Mississippi, Fayette is not too far from me, how they are connected to Sierra Leone. So be looking forward for that. I don't know when I'm gonna get down there, which I fed. Sister Sophie, how far Fayette? I just moved back home about a year ago. I done forgot Fayette was about 15 minutes away from here. Cool, you going to see. I think it's about 15 minutes away from here. Away from here, away from Brookhaven. And I just ain't been down there, lazy, and ain't been down there, so I can do the little quick deal. But I'll get down there soon. But anyway, let's get back into it. The document. From the times of the arrival of the ships to the departure, which is usually about 3 months, scarce a day passes without some Negroes being purchased and carried on board, sometimes in a small and sometimes in a large numbers. The whole numbers taken abroad depends on the circumstances. In the voyage I once made, our stocks of merchandise was exhausted in the purchase of about 380 Negroes, which was expected to have procured 500. The unhappy wretches And I'm not going to even use that word. So excuse me for using that word because he used this language here a few times. Oh, you said 20 minutes. Okay. All right. Thus disposed and are bought by black traders at the fairs. So he's talking about here that there were once they was taken off taken from West Africa, they was taken to these trading fairs. They would have these big events where they would trade our ancestors at these fairs, black traders at fairs, which are held for the purpose at the distance of upward of 200 miles from the seacoast. And these fairs are said to be supplied from the interior part of the country. Many Negroes, upon being questioned relatives to the place of their nativities, have asserted that they have traveled during the revolution of several moons. So this is how they will account how far it was. They were counting. The ancestors were counting counting the moons. You know, because we think that traveling by boat, making it to the Americas was a 30-minute trip. I mean, it took uh 2 to 3 months for them to get to wherever they was going to by boat. Hold on, let me go back. Many Negroes, upon being questioned relatives to the places of their nativities, have asserted that they have traveled during the revolution of several moons. They're usually the usual method of calculating time before they have reached a place where they were purchased by the black traders. At the fairs, which are held in an uncertain period, but generally every 6 weeks, several thousands are frequently exposed to sales who had been collected from all ports of the country, far and very considerable distance around. During one of my voyages, the black traders brought down in different canoes from 12 to 1,500 Negroes who had been purchased at one fair. So, and again, this is uh um Alexander Falconbridge, and these is his first-hand account. Again, he was a surgeon who was on board numerous slave ships at that time, and his role was to make sure that the Europeans on the boat was taken care of and in great health and stay in great health, as well as him taking care of our ancestors that were slaves. As I spoke earlier in my presentation, African dance presentation, um, that he um, um, they during the good times where there was good weather, our ancestors was brought on top of the slave ship and they had to exercise. He had to make sure that they would stay in good shape. They was healthy, and and so forth. So his job was to keep the Europeans healthy. What I'm saying, and to tend to them as well as tend to our ancestors that was kidnapped and make sure they was healthy. Uh, and getting the right type of nutrients and certain things in their body because uh, they knew that the Europeans, the slave traders, did not want to purchase what they were called bad commodities or bad merchandise, where like I said, they treated our ancestors like merchandise, like livestock, so they wanted good livestock. Black traders brought down in different canoes from 12 to 1,500 Negroes who had been purchased at one fair. They consist chiefly of men and boys. The women seldom exceeded a third of the whole number. From 40 to 200 Negroes are generally purchased at a time by the black traders, according to the occupants of the buyers, and consisted of all ages, from months to 60 years of upward. Scarcely any age or situation it deems an exception. The price being proportionable, women sometimes formed a part of them who happens to be so far advanced in their pregnancy as to deliver during their journeys from the fairs to the coast. And I have frequently seen incidents of deliverance on the board ships. So he was also there to deliver the babies of those that they may have kidnapped, the women that they may have kidnapped that was already uh with child and was on the verge of having a child. So he was there to deliver the babies, and the fluctuation of the prices went up, from them traveling to these fairs, um, and being purchased at these different fairs by these different slave traders. So the price would essentially go high with a pregnant woman. So you would get more because you're getting the mother and you're getting the child. So the price would be increased at that time at the fair. When Negroes, whom the black traders have to dispose of or shown to the European purchase, they first examined them relative to their age. They then mutually inspected the persons and inquire into the states of their health. If they are inflicted with any diseases or any deforms or have bad eyes or teeth, if they are lame or weak in the joints or distorted in the backs or slender make or narrow in the chest. In short, if they have been ill or afflicted in a manner so as rendered them incapable of much labor, if any of the foregoing defects or discoveries in them, they are rejected. But if approved of, they are generally taken on board the ships the same evening. The purchasers has liberty to return on the following morning, but now afterward, such up re-examination are found exceptionally. So they would examine they would examine our ancestors before they was on board. And as Alexander Falconbridge was stating, and if they had any type of illness, any type of disease, or some type of defects, or too skinny, or eyes were bad, or teeth were bad, and so forth, then they would be rejected because they wanted, you know, uh, them to be in great health. You know what I'm saying? For them to have all their limbs, they can see and so forth, so there won't be any problem once they get them. Then once they purchase them, they don't want any uh, bad merchandise. And I'm not trying to call my ancestors merchandise, but that's what they seen our ancestors as livestock. So and livestock. So they re-examine them. This is one of the reasons why I stay up with us, Senate Lisa. And so this is a reason why Alexander Falconbridge was on board also to make sure that these people stayed and our ancestors stayed in good health. Their limbs then began to get weak because their limbs could get weak, from being uh, down inside of the slave ship, chained to these different things and squashed up together, kneeling down, um, and so forth. So his job was to make, and the horrendous conditions that was going on, which he's going to talk about some of these horrendous conditions that causes some of them to have diseases and so forth, and so forth. Um, uh, let's see where I was at. Negroes purchase fairs. The Negroes, black traders dispose. Um, Shit, I lost where I was at. Hold on, y'all. About consisted 240 million. I might have just skipped up to. Oh, I went down to four. Um. Okay. Near the main mess of the portion of the construction on board, which reaches outward of the ship. Let me see. I still may have gone. Okay, no, I haven't. I'm good. Near the main mast of the portion of the construction on board, which reaches the outwards of the ship. This division is called the Barricade. It is about 8 feet in height, and it is made to project about 2 feet over the sides of the ships. In the Barricade, there is a door at which is a sentinel, is placed during the time the Negroes are permitted to come upon the deck. It serves to keep a different sexes apart, and as there are small holes in it where the blunderbusses are fixed, and sometimes cannons. It is found very convenient for quelling an insurrection that's now and then happening. The men Negroes on being brought aboard the ships are immediately fastened together two and two by handcuffs on their wrists and by iron rivets on their legs. They are then sit down between the decks and placed in an apartment partial all for their purpose. The women also are placed in a separate apartment between the decks, but without being ironed, in a joint room on the same deck is appointed for the boys. Thus, they are placed in different apartments. So they was all placed in different apartments. But the same time, however, they are frequently stowed so close as to admit or nor admit let me see, as admit to no other position than lying on their sides, nor with the heights between decks, unless directly under the granite, permits and indulge of an erect posture, especially where there are platforms, which are generally the case. These platforms are a kind of shelves, about 8 to 9 feet in breadth, extended from the sides of the ship toward the center. They are placed nearly midway between the decks at the distance of 2 to 3 feet from each deck. Upon these Negroes are stowed in the same manner as they are on underneath. Each of the apartments are placed in 3 or 4 large buckets. Listen to this, on a colonial form, nearly 2 feet in diameter at the bottom and only 1 feet at the top of the deck, and about 28 inches, to which, when necessary, the Negroes have recourse. It often happened that those who are placed at the distance from the buckets, and see, these buckets was taken, these buckets would sit out. Um, Hold on, I am here, but such terrible treatment to our people. It is, isn't it? Lisa, yes, I was. I know, sis. Make me sad and make at this time. Exactly. We are woke now in knowing and teaching others. This isn't going to stop. No, it's not. We're gonna keep going. But this here is about the buckets. They would set these buckets out here for our ancestors to do their business in, to urinate and to defecate in these buckets, and in endurance to getting them, and some the Negroes have recourse. It often happened that those who are placed at the distance from the buckets and the endeavoring to get to them tumble over their companies in consequence of their being shackled. These accidents, although unavoidable, are productive and continual quarrels in which some of them are always bruised. And in these distress situations, unable to process and prevent from getting to the tubs, they desist from the attempt, and as necessary uh, of nature, or not to resist, ease themselves as they lay. So some of those that couldn't get to those buckets that was laid out, and due to them trying to climb, because they was bunched in together, was trying to climb over each other to get to these buckets so that they could use the bathroom so they could do their business, sometimes could not reach it due to them being shackles. I guess the chains not reaching as far as they could go to where the buckets was, where they can use the bathroom, or there was just too many in their way to get to the buckets. So the attempts, they would stop and just use the bathroom on themselves. Um, oh man. Unable to proceed and prevent from getting to the tub, they desist from the attempt, and as necessary of the nature or not to be resistant, ease themselves as they lay. This becomes a fresh source of balls and disturbance, and tends to render the conditions of the poor captives and I'm not going to use that terminology, still more uncomfortable. The nuisance arising from these circumstances is not unfrequently increased by the tubs being too small for the purpose intended for them being empty but once every day. The rules for doing so, however, varies in different ships according to the attention paid to the health and the convenience of the slaves by the captains. And even when they would use the buckets, he was saying that they would be over full, for them to even go and use the buckets because they was only dump the stuff out of the buckets, once a day. It just all depend on what ship uh that you was on. About 8 o'clock in the morning, the Negroes are generally brought upon deck, their irons being examined, and long chains which are locked to the rings, bolted fixed index, is run through the rings of the shackles of the men, and then locked to another ring, bolt fixed also on the deck by the means 50 to or 60, and sometimes more, fastened to one chain in order to prevent them from rising and endeavoring to escape. If the weather proves favorable, they are permitted to remain in a situation till 4 or 5 in the afternoon, when they are disengaged from the chains and sent below. So, according to the weather, they would come on deck. If the weather was good, they would come on deck at about 8 o'clock, and if the weather stayed good, they would stay on the deck uh, till about um, uh, um, 5 to 6 hours. You know, and they was on deck, as I said, which I said earlier in my presentation that I did earlier, that they came on deck to exercise, and I explained what was there doing the exercise. They would dance, was a part of the exercise. So I was saying that they, in my presentation, that we brung our dances with us to the Americas, and some we was forced on the slave ship to exercise. So in the presence there were drums as we danced, to exercise, to try to stay in shape. um, but we'll get in he'll get into that in here too. Um, the diets of the Negroes while on board consist chiefly of horse beans boiled to the consistence of a pulp, boiled yams and rice, and sometimes small quantities of beef and pork. The latter frequently taken from the provision laid in for the sailors. They sometimes make use of the sauce composed of palm oil mixed with flour, water, and pepper, which sailors call slabber sauce. Yams are the favorite foods of the Igbo. It has Igbo here. The Igbo are bite Negroes, and rice and corn are those from the Gold and the Windward Coast, each preference the produce of their native soil. They are commonly fed twice a day, about 8 o'clock in the morning and 4 in the afternoon. And this is the same stuff that they do to you when you go to the county jail or you go to prison. You know, you get that meal in the morning time, but no, I think you get that meal between 6 and 8 in the morning. You get your afternoon meal, at 12 noon, where you actually get 3 meals in there. The ancestors only got two on the ship. In most ships, they are only fed with their own food once a day. Some ships you was only fed once a day. Their foods are served up to them in tubs about the size of a small water bucket. They are placed around these tubs, and you will see this same stuff going on the plantation. They were actually, they actually thought like they treated our ancestors like livestock, like animals. So they will put this trough out here and put this food out in the trough, and our ancestors will have to go out on the plantation and eat out of these troughs every day, just cool, just cool as they want to be. They placed around these tubs in companies and tend to each tub, out of which they fed themselves with wooden spoons. They these they soon lose, and when they are not allowed others, they feed themselves with their hands. In favorable weather, they are fed upon deck, but in bad weather, their food is given to them below. Numberless quarrels take place among them during the meals, more especially when they are put upon short allowances, which frequently happens if the passengers from the coast of Guiana to the West Indies island proves unusual lengths. In this case, the weak are obligated to be content with the very scanty portions. There allowed the waters is about half a pint each of every meal. It is handed round in buckets and given to each Negro in a panique, in a small utensil with a straight handle, somewhat similar to a sauce boat. However, when the ships approach the island with favorable breeze, the slaves are no longer restricted. Upon the Negroes refusing to take substance, I have seen coals of fire, glowing hot, put in a shovel and placed so near the lips so as to scorch and burn them. And this has been accompanied with threats of forcing them to swallow the coals if they any longer persist or refusing to eat. These means have generally had the desired effects. I have also been credible informed that a certain captain in the slave trade poured metal lead on such of his Negroes as abstain refusing to food. And you see this on the plantation as well. The ancestors refusing to eat. They wanting to die. What I'm saying? Then to be a slave or to be oppressed, so they refuse to eat and so forth. And you can see some of my ancestors jumped over this, he said some of the boats had barricades on each side of them. So I guess these barricades was to stop the ancestors from jumping overboard. So maybe they might have had problems, maybe with this slave owner or this company, slave company, might have had problems uh, with our ancestors jumping aboard. And this ship had the barricades on each side to try to keep our ancestors from jumping to their death in the Atlantic Ocean. Um, I know, but like I said, you see this on the plantation as well. Refusing to eat, and they would do all types of stuff to make our ancestors eat. And as he said here, they would um take coals of fire, glowing hot, and put them on a shovel and place them near their lips as it scorched and burned them, forcing them to eat. And he say he have heard on other slave ships. Um, what did he say that they was doing? Generally had desires, information, certain captain slaves poured metal, poured melting lead on such a on our ancestors. And you can see also they did where they will open the mouth and take a hammer and bust out the teeth of our ancestors, knock out all their teeth, put a funnel in their mouths, and funnel the food in their mouths. Yes, cruel, just cruel animals. That's what that's what they are, animals. Um, exercising being deemed necessary for the preservation of their health, they are sometimes obligated to dance when the weather will permit their coming on deck. If they go about too reluctantly or do not move with agility, they are flogged. A person standing by them all the time with a cat or nine tails in his hand for the purpose. Their music upon these occasions consists of drums. And this here is a piece of information that I took and I put into my African drums presentation, as well as the presentation I did on yesterday, my African dance presentation, where I wanted to explain, give you a first-hand account from an individual that was on the ship, which was Alexander. Falconbridge, um, and their exercise consists of dancing. And while they're dancing, the drums was there also. So, and then on my African drums video, I stated this same, I inserted this same piece of information from out of his book. Also, the drums were there. So when we was kidnapped, ancestor was kidnapped, the drums was taken with them, and our dances was taken with us. Um, while y'all on here, a few of y'all on here, I had I appreciate y'all still rocking out with me. Can y'all remember, before I go any further while we talking about the dances, just to seeing if y'all still paying attention, because I reiterated a bunch of times, what are the four what is the four categories the African dances are broke down into, if y'all can remember, if y'all was paying attention, because I know Sinette Sophie, you was looking at it. Sinette Lisa, you was looking at the presentation. I have 5 people watching. I don't think Jadori was we have a tradition to uphold and push forward. That's right, Brother Jadari. I don't know if Brother Jadari looked at the presentation. I don't know if uh, Brother Edmund Nasir looked at the presentation I did yesterday. But if you have, y'all, just answer what was the okay, I see ritual, I see ceremony. Okay, that's 2. It was broken to 4. It was broken to 4 categories. I give the other 2, but y'all was paying attention. Okay, all right, all right. I see communal by Jadori, also communal by Senate Lisa, ceremony by Senate Sophie, ritual ceremony by Senate Lisa. Okay, yes, they was broken into 4. You had the ritual dance, the ceremonial dance, the okay, the Greek. It's the griot, not gritos, but I know what you're saying, Senate Sophie. Yes, you have the ceremony, the communion, the ritual, and the griot. All was broken. Those was the 4 categories of African dance. How they was broke down. Can I buy a vow? I just gave y'all, but y'all got it, man. That let me know that y'all was paying attention, man, to the presentation. I'm just asking. It's not to stroke my own ego or anything, or the to infringe on y'all intelligence. It's just to, see if y'all paying attention, because I take out a lot of time, um, putting these presentations together. I know they be kind of lengthy, an hour and a half, 2 hours long, but sometimes it take 10 to 15 hours of researching and extrapolating information from different sources, and then reading some other sources, and comparing information with other consensus and so forth. So sometimes it takes hours and hours and hours. So I'm just trying to make sure that these hours is well spent, and everybody is learning as well as I'm learning. I didn't know this was gonna be a quick. I know, I'm just messing with y'all, just seeing if y'all paying attention, that's all. But flogging a person standing to them at a time with the cat or 9 tails in his hands for the purpose. Their music upon their occasions consists of drums, sometimes with only one head, and with that is worn out. They make use of the bottom of the tubs before described. The poor, not using that word, as frequently compiled in singing also. But when they do so, their songs are generally as may naturally be expected, melancholy lamentations of their exiles from the native country. That we call people call spiritual what is it, Negro spirituals. The women are furnished with beads for the purpose of affording them some diversions, but this ends in general defeated by the squabbles, which are or occasionally are consequence of them stealing from each other. In our culture, like I stated earlier in my presentation earlier, our culture, you've seen beads, beads and cowrie shells what we wore. You know, Cora shells was worn on our clothes, on our masks, worn as necklaces, bracelets, and beads, so forth. Especially when dealing with EFA, what I practice, being initiated in, and receiving your elike beads. You know what I'm saying? The elike beads are the color of the different colors of the orishas and so forth that may be selected to your head. So our culture deal with beads, Corey shells. Um, uh, so you know, and so that was valuable, more valuable than gold and so forth. And you can see here where it was saying that the women was furnished with the beads, and sometimes it was by them having these beads on was create some type of strife or jealousy, and the beads will be stolen and so forth. On board some ships or ships, the common sailors are allowed to have intercourse. This is look at this. On board some ships, the common sailors are allowed to have intercourse with such black women who consents they can procure, and some of them have been known to take it inconsistently of their Palmeras so much to heart as to leap overboard and drown themselves. The officers are permitted to indulge the passion among them as pleased, and sometimes guilty in such excess and as disgrace human nature. So, and we see this too on the plantation, you know, as well as on the ships. They're forcing themselves uh, on our grandmothers, on our sisters, on our mothers, uh, on our aunties, on our cousins, you know, forcing and having sex with our ancestors. But they not was not only having sex with the women, you know, but they was having sex with the men. They was sodomizing the men also on the plantation, you know, breaking the buck, you know, sodomizing them, bending them over, you know what I'm saying, to dehumanize them in front of the whole community on the plantation, you know what I'm saying, uh, where they would take them, boot them over a stump, expose their buttocks, make sure that their sons are in the front row, seeing everything, and then sodomizing them, going inside of their buttocks, sodomizing, what they call, were breaking the buck, to dehumanize him, to demasculate the man in front of the kids, and also was a scare tactic. Um, if you do something that displeases the slave master or your oppressor, then this is the consequences behind it. So they will have the community on the plantation on the front row, but especially the boys. And you can see this same type of behavior is coming down, as I mean, has been passed down from generation to generation, because again, like I said, we were suffering from post-traumatic slavery um disorder, and a lot of things are being passed down from one generation to the next. So that's why when you see a lot of the youth that is going against the very fabric of our government, rising up against our government because of the things that they do to people of color, you have the mother that will always try to come in or stop the child or stop them from doing certain things because they was scared of the repercussions. And this is just something just comes from off of the plantation, you know what I'm saying, with the whipping, you know what I'm saying, with the people being in front, and they're lashing you till your skin just comes off your back, cutting your limb off, cutting the men testicles out, double castrating them, or booting them over a stump, exposing their buttocks and sodomizing them. So a lot of this trauma, is being passed down from one generation to the next generation to the next generation, because as we right, scare tactics. So we never did um get any type of therapy after so-called slavery. You know what I'm saying? So-called slavery. You know, during the Emancipation Proclamation, we officially was free in 18, supposedly officially free in 1865. There was no trauma center set up for us to work through our traumas, so we wouldn't have to pass down trauma from one generation to the next. And I just like to use the analogy where those that may be in the military, um, they may have seen horrendous things going on, so many different trauma events happening for us. Let's say um, they seen children running to them strapped with bombs and being blowed up in front of them, or seeing one of their own steps on a landmine and being blown to pieces, someone being shot and killed in front of them, someone they knew in a helicopter blew up, a missile shot and blew up the helicopter, and those people was killed. Them happening to kill innocent, those happen to kill innocent kids or happen to kill someone so they wouldn't be killed, and or seeing stacks of bodies. These are types of trauma events that they have seen, and when they come back, they is they go through um PST, post traumatic PS. I'll be getting it mixed up, but y'all know what I'm talking about. And they go through the VA, send them to diagnose them with that, and then they go through therapy for the horrendous events or the trauma that may taken place, or the traumas that they have seen when they went outside of the country to fight, to so-called fight for our country. But we know what is behind uh uh us going to other countries and butting our noses in and fighting for, and that is raping the natural resources from the land, um and so forth. um but The hardships of inconvenience suffering by the Negroes during Apaches are scarcely to be enumerated or conceived. They are far more violent, affected by sickle cells than Europeans, and frequently terminates, what is that? Terminates in death, especially among the women, but exclusively fresh air is among the most intolerable. For the purpose of omitting this needful refreshment, most of the ships in the slave trades are provided between the decks and the 5 and 6 airports of each side of the ships, or about 5 inches length and 4 in breadth. In addition, some ships, but no one in the 20s have what they denominated wind sails. But whenever the sea is rough and the rains heavy, it becomes necessary to shut these and every other conveyor by which the air is emitted. So during the time, he's saying during the time of bad weather, where they only had these little small holes in the ship, where post-traumatic stress disorder. Appreciate that, Senate. And I see Senate Lisa. Appreciate that. Um, that they had to shut these holes due to the bad weather of them traveling down the Atlantic Ocean. So there was no air getting in, and the conditions began to get extremely hot down there. Um, Conveying some ideals, some hold on. Rain heavy, it becomes necessary to shut these air and every conveyor by which the air is emitted, the fresh air being thus excluded. The Negro's room soon grows intolerable hot. The confined air renders noxious by effluxible exhale from their bodies, and being repeatedly breathed soon produce fevers and flux, which generally carries a great number of them. During the voyage I was frequently witness to the fatal effects of the exclusives of fresh air. I will give one instance, as it serves and conveys some ideals through a very faint one of their terrible suffering. Some wet and blowing weather have occasions the portholes to be shut, and granted to cover flux and fevers among the Negroes ensuing. While they were in the situation, frequently went down among them till at till at the length their rooms became extremely hot, as being only bearable to a very short time, but exclusively heat was not the only thing that rendered this situation intolerable. The deck, that is the floor and of the rooms, was covered with blood and mucus, which had proceeded from them, and consequently in the flux that resembles a slaughterhouse. It has not in the power of the human imagination to picture a situation more dreadful or disgusting. Numbers of the slaves have fainted. They were carried upon the deck, with several of them died. At the rest was greatly difficulty were restored. And he was, he was just saying, with the first hand account, as I was saying earlier, as they was closing out these airport holes where the fresh air was getting, and they had to close them due to bad weather, and due to them closing it down below the deck, it will get extremely hot, where people start to faint. People start to cough up blood and cough up mucus everywhere, and people will die down there because of the how hot it had got down there. As very few of the Negroes so far brooks the loss of their liberty and the hardships they endure. They are ever on the watch to take advantage of the least negligence in their oppressor. The insurrections are frequently the consequence, which are seldom expressed without much bloodshed. Sometimes these are success, and the whole ship companies is cut off. They are likewise always ready to seize every opportunity for committing some acts of disseparation to free themselves from their miserable state, and notwithstanding the restraints which are laid them often success. And this is the source of Alexander Falconbridge, and this is from out of his book, The Account of the Slave Trade on the Coast of Africa, London, 1788. And I got this off the Digital History edu textbook website, which is, like I said, is in his book. I wanted to come back and just touch on that, since I kind of talk about Alexander Falconbridge, and I mentioned, uh, he gave first hands account, because I mentioned him, with the exercise, and I wanted to make him my source, as I was stating that our ancestors took the drums and the dance with them on a slave ship. So he was one of my sources to back me up for what I was saying. So I inserted an insertion from out of his book of them exercising on top of the ships, and they was dancing, and the drums was present there while they was on the slave ship. But I wanted to go a little bit farther, since I said earlier, in my presentation earlier, that I would come back and I would give a little bit more information about Alexander Falconbridge, about some of his firsthand accounts of the things that he seen on these ships, because he was present there. He was on these ships when they came into Africa and got them, and when they left out of Africa and took them to these fairs, and sold them at these different fairs, which took place, I think he said, every 2 to 3 months. They will have these fairs where they would trade our ancestors, and so forth. So uh just thought about this quick little edu article here. So that was out of his book. So uh there you have it. And if you want to get the book and go more in depth into who Alexander Falconbridge, which I explained too, he became an abolitionist, where he wanted to free slaves, and he didn't, he felt that slavery wasn't right to oppress African people. Uh, and eventually later on he moved to Sierra Leone, and then a year later he died in Sierra Leone. So if you want the book, it's on Amazon.com. This is an old, I guess this is like one of his old publishing here. The book is $9.16 Here's another book, which is $14.99 if you want the book. I'm going to get the book myself just to read some more information about what happened on why he was on the boat and some other things that he did, his duties, his other duties that might have been on the boat, and some of his past life history and some things that happened after um, after he became an abolitionist and he moved to Sierra Leone and so forth. So that is in the Amazon.com right there. Y'all also know that I am a member of the Seshu Ma'a Ni Metanetra group, which is true, a Lord Scribes of Divine Words, where we deal with the Rani Kemet, which is um, the language, and the Sesh Metanetra, which is the writing script. And this is our website here, Seshu Metanetra, which used to be Medunetter, www.medunetter.com, but we changed it to the Seshu Medu Nature not too long ago. Um, and So feel free to come on, or those that may be interested in taking the courses to learn the Session Metanetter, or what y'all know as the hieroglyphs. You can get on this website and join the class. He has there are our Saber. He has great articles on here. If you want to go on here for some articles, I'm gonna pull up some of the articles on here. You can go back and read some of the articles. Here is one of the articles here. This is one of the favorite articles, and I talk about this in my Moriri presentation. But let me see. Okay, well, I will just scroll through them real quick, and I'm gonna get off of here. But here's one on the calendar. I got a calendar presentation that I need to revisit, that I had done that I never put out about 2 years ago, and it was uh, uh, reviewed by the group before I was going to put it out. And I went back and redid some things and implemented some ideals that might have been in, and the group directed me towards some other information to add into the group. So I may go back and do it, and then me and Sinet, not Sinet, but Sin Tiba, or I like to call him Awuwere. Awuwere means great elder. He is the our elder in the Seshu Ma'ani Medineta group. So Awuwere Atiba Saku, we created a calendar, and I wanted to try to put the calendar out there. And I was actually going to show the calendar with the presentation. And if people wanted to buy the presentation, we was going to put it up on this website, our website. But I never did put the presentation out, and this was about 2 years ago. But Saber has, he has one on the calendar, so you can check this article out. He has an article here on the chakras, which he went back and revisited it, and he did the small little chunks, and he broke this down, and he went through the set. So that's why it's good to understand the language. So he breaks down the 7 chakras and the judgment scene, which there is no chakras in African culture, and he breaks it down, and he goes through this papyrus here. So he talks about the papyrus, which you can find this papyrus in the Runu Per Im Haru, the Coming Forth by Day or Night book, misnomer, the Book of the Dead. So this is a good article. Go back and read. This here is about Hotep. Is Hotep a foul word? So he talks about Hotep. He breaks the Hotep word down. We know we greet each other with the word Hotep. Hotep, means peace. Hotep can also means offering. Hotep can also mean sacrifice. So he goes into Hotep, and then he breaks down the word Hotep, and we use Hotep when we bring people to our houses. We want to welcome people with peace. That's why when me and on the session, when we go live and we always say ETM Hotep, or when I'm on doing my presentations, I say ETM Hotep. That means come in peace. And at the end, I say Shimon Hotep, seeing Sean does the same thing because he's a part of the Seshuma Ani Metaneta group too. So he says ETM Hotel. So he always greeting the people with peace. Come in with peace. And we always greet people when we allow them to come into our homes. You know, people come in, welcome, welcome, man, come in, man. You know, we try to make them feel welcome. We try to, and hotel means offering. So we'll try to offer them. You want something to drink? You want some food? You see what I'm saying? So, you know, all those words, you know, like I said, hotels means offering, it means peace, it means sacrifice and so forth. So he talks about that in there. This here is something that I'm gonna have to go back and reread. This the life cycle in harmony, uh, and the care of life force. It's talking about what we're supposed to be putting in our body, what is the appropriate time for us to be eating and so forth. So that's a good article that I said I was going to actually start doing. This is another one article, Muslim prayer from Kemet. So uh, he shows this in here. This article, I don't think I ever read this article here, but you can see where they get, you know, the Muslims, you know, they pray 5 times a day and so forth. ETM Hotel. And so I hadn't read that article there. Uh, then also on here you can go and you can get we do our where we did our transliterations. So you have people that are actually transliterating and translating the glyphs. That's what we are. We are translating team. So we translate the glyphs. So you can also go on here and you can look at our transliterations and translations on here. Let me see if I can find them real quick because I'm gonna get off here. I just wanted to show few things. Let's see if it's on here right quick, and then you know, I'll show the books. And if you want to get the books, because we have a few publications out. Nah, this ain't. But this is actually, if you want to know where we got the name Seshuma Ani Metanetter, it is actually in It is in stone. It is a historical name. It is not a, and it is a name. And here we have it broke down. Seshu means scribe and also means writing. Ma'a means loyal, true, or real. Ni means of. Medu means words or communication. Netter means divine. Seshu ma'a ni meter netter. Scribes, true scribes. And again, when you're dealing with the grammar, we know that the description goes in front of the noun. So it would be true or loyal or real scribes of divine words. Divine what comes first before the words. Divine words, which we deal with honorific transposition. Um, honorific transposition. Um, and here is actually a duplication. I have Wujal beginner's book, but I haven't. I have to get back into it. Yes, man, because brother Jadara, I actually had the book before I actually knew it was a class. He had a class. I actually bought the book before we had the class. And I read the book before I had the class, before I took the class, and before I even knew exactly who Wuja Iri Ma'at was. And I ran across his article way before I bought the book that was dealing with the spaceships in Kemet, where he debunked the spaceships in Kemet. So he, you know, and that's an article on here too, because you have people saying there was helicopters and spaceships, and he, you know, and I read that article. That's how I was introduced to him, but I didn't know him per se. And then I seen him when I used to be a big YouTuber, where I used to look at videos. Many of us would love to see the Divine Words Wednesday Freestyle Friday start up regular again. Yes, and that we've been talking about starting the Freestyle Fridays and Divine Words Wednesdays again, but and you know we was consistent. We was consistent from 2015. We have about 114 videos on our YouTube channel. That's the Seshuma Ani Metanetter YouTube channel. It's about 119 or 114 videos on there. And we was consistent from 2015 all the way up into the middle of 2017. But due to, you know, our schedules changing over the years, so it's kind of hard for all of us to get together on Wednesdays and get together on Fridays. And I know everybody, because I was always excited and looking forward when we, we got together and we did the Divine Words Wednesdays and the freestyle Fridays, and we had been talking about maybe trying to get it back or trying to get another day and do something on this consistent day, maybe on the weekend. But that's up in the air. So maybe we'll get back in. Maybe we'll get back into it because we really do need to get back into it. And this is just where he reduplicated the glyphs, and this is actually the story inside of the Seshu Ma'ani Metaneta group, who was scribes of the king in the 13th dynasty of Neferhotep from Abydos. Um, it's already, it is a historical name. It is in the sesh. Here, uh, those that may want to take the beginner's course or even just want to buy the book, uh, and getting the book, here is, I'm gonna show all of them because we have some publications. The beginner's introduction, Medu Neter, ancient Egyptian hieroglyph system. It's $29.95. You can get it off the website here. You can order it directly off the website, or you can go to Amazon.com and get it. It is written by Seba. Seba means teacher. Um, Seba Wujao Irimaat. This is the book for the class, but and it's a book, you can get it, can read it first. And if you think you want to take the class, you can take the class. And I recommend that you take the class, whether you take the class with him or with Katie Armin, the elder Infadishi, uh, or I can't think of the other brother name that gives the class, but this is a great textbook for the class because I think you should take the class because there's some things that you may not understand clearly. Um, so taking a class and being hands-on would be a good thing. And it's a 12 weeks class. They only meet once a week, and this is how the group actually got started. It started out with one of his first classes, and we just didn't want to end the class. And we ended the class. We took our finals, and I have, matter of fact, I'll get it and show it to y'all before I get out of here. I'm certified. Um, I'm certified, so I'll show you my diploma, my certificate in a minute. But here's the book, and then here is the Seshu Metaneta alphabet flashcards. So here are the flashcards. If you want to get the flashcards, this here is a book here. Um, that we all took actually put work in the group. It was a collective effort of writing this book, which came out last year. Has the Egyptian hieroglyphs writing systems been deciphered? A rebuttal to Walter Williams. Um, Shout out to brother Walter Williams, or Awu Walter Williams, which is another great elder of ours. And I wouldn't, talk bad about the elder. And I have his books on my shelf. I have the historical origins of Islam by him. I have the historical origins of Christianity by him, which are great books, and I recommend everybody to buy those books. Um, um, but in the books, and it's just on maybe 2 or 3 pages in the back of the book where we debunked, we rebuttal to what he had to say about the ancient hieroglyphs have never been deciphered. So this book was a rebuttal to him, and also a rebuttal to uh, brother Elliot. With no disrespect, bro, those who may not know who I'm talking about Sarah Suganseti. Sarah Suganseti, and you have to understand that when Walter Williams talked about the ancient hieroglyph writing system never been deciphered, and I just pulled both of his books off the shelf here. Walter Williams' book, this book was the historical origins of Christianity. It was published in 1992. 1992, and the historical origins of Islam was published. Uh, it doesn't, and this book I have a new edition. It said it was reprinted November 2013, but I don't have the old copy. I have the old copy of the historical origin, which was in 1992, which is where the rebuttal comes from in the back of his book, where he says the ancient hieroglyphs has never been deciphered. and it's a rebuttal. So it's a thorough breakdown of his rebuttal and other things that we talk about in the book about the Rosetta Stone, the other stones that precedes the Rosetta Stone. Um, we talk about Champollion, but we talk about other individuals before Champollion. And these are, and it's just, it was also a rebuttal to Eliot, what I said with no disrespect, who y'all know is Sarah Seti. So I don't understand why he called himself Sarah Seti when he says that the hieroglyphs had never been deciphered, and he's still talking about that. But you have Kemotu or Remich name, and then even in your name, we know Sarah means the son of Ra. Sarah Sutan Seti. We know Seti was a king in the New Kingdom, in the I think preferably 18 or the 19th dynasty, if I'm not mistaken, that was named after Set or Satesh, one of the Nechaus. And Sultan is not even correct. We know that the proper name will be Nasut, not Sultan, but Nasut. So if you understood the language, then you wouldn't make a mistake by saying Sultan. It's Nisut or Nisut Biti, king of dual king of Upper Tamu and Taishamu, which is Upper Kemet and Lower Kemet. And young uh young Pharaoh, because I call him something else, and I don't want to disrespect the brother, but I called him something else, him and Sarah Sudan Seti. So it was supposed to be, this book was written so it can be at the um um at the event with Sarah Sudan Seti and young Pharaoh up against the Amun Ra squad um in December of last year. um, and so we put this book out right before, just to clear up all the issues. And they could have just presented the book, and the book would have smashed everything that they talk about. But due to them not showing up, the thing didn't take place. But it's a good book. So it's you can order here. It's only $19.95. You can get it off of here, or you can go to Amazon.com and purchase the book. It's a great book to have. It talks about it's a great book to have. So it goes through all of that stuff. And then we have a sister that's in our group, that's in a session group, Sinet Imiket, Aku, and she recently put out her publication, and she's a part of the group. She put out simplified sesh. They so-called debate they never showed up for. Yep, they never showed up for, because they knew what was gonna happen at that time. And I'm kind of glad that they didn't show up. Well, no, I'm not. I mean, because it was kind of in a controlled environment, and sometimes you know. you know, uh, with their debating skills, to me, with their debating skills, I mean, you have to let one person present his side, and then another person present his side, and so forth. But I think it probably would have been okay in a control, because I was going to be in a controlled environment. But them being on their own platforms, or on somebody else's platform where it's really not a controlled environment, they tends to try to take over uh, the conversations, and they try to get very confrontational. So that's one thing that I don't really like about both of them. But no disrespect to both of them. But here, Senate Imicat simplified Seshmeter Nature penmanship, a lesson in Egyptian hieroglyphs writing, book one, is just on the monoliterals, you know, and yes, on the monoliterals, and is actually showing you how to draw the sesh, or how to draw the glyphs and so forth in the book. So we working. So we have publications out. We're not only just talking about it, we're being about it. We putting things on paper. We putting things on writing. So we're working. We scattered out over the places. We got publications. You got me presenting information on my YouTube channel. You got Sin Sean presenting information on his YouTube channel. That's Any Haret Sean Calfani. Uh, the sister, she got her book out. maybe the group we gonna work it out where we can start back doing the freestyle Fridays or the or the Divine Words Wednesday, or come up with another show, or even bring back the Sabayat Dome, the Sabat Dome, which we did, which was one of our special things that we did every now and then by the Sabat Dome. We might bring that back as well. But just check, you can go to YouTube and check it out. YouTube channel Seshuma Ani Meta Nature group. But I just wanted to plug that and be looking forward to Saber University. And that is something that my Saber created, and I don't think it's on here, but it's gonna be um uh thing for those that know about Corsica. It's gonna be in that same effect as Corsica. And if you want to teach, you can sign up for the classes. And peace, enjoy you all. Peace, Sinette. I'm finna get off here anyway. I'm just rambling, just talking. But be looking forward for Saber University. And if you got some information, or you or a course that you want to teach, he has it set up where you can uh get sign up to the Saber University, and then it's a way where you allowed to get paid for your courses and so forth. So check that out. I don't have it up here. But I appreciate y'all for tuning in, with me, rocking out with me, man. Um, I just had to plug the group real quick again, and plug the publications, and and the YouTube channel. And if you hadn't subscribed, which I know y'all all have subscribed to the channel, but tell somebody that you may know that may be interested in the class. But let them know my channel is the channel for the channel Kofi Paisa TV is the channel for the black woman, black child, black woman, black man, black child, Eurocentric mind, and Africanizing. But Jareel Nefer, Shimon Hotel at the YouTube, send that Lisa. I'm out of here too. Play my little video. And I appreciate y'all staying on with me. It's 3:20 something, 3:27. So I appreciate it. It's late. Y'all could have been doing anything else. I guess sleep. Something that I need to be doing, but I can't. But Shimim Hotel.
Man in the full knowledge of himself is a superb and supreme creature of creation. When man becomes possessor of the knowledge of himself, he becomes master of his environment, the captain of his own ship, the director of his own destiny, the accomplisher of his own ends. Man should understand himself because man is full of knowledge, and this knowledge is a gift of nature. When Mother Nature created man, she deprived him of nothing. He was given the faculty of understanding all things around him. This faculty for understanding has not been taken away from him. None of his senses have been taken away from him. So there is no excuse for the black man.
I'm bridging my team, red, black, and green, queens and kings, salute, now scream, I should, bring from another hit, I should, five for different. I'm ripping my team, red, black, and green, queens and kings, salute, now scream, I should, bring from another hit, I should, five for different, I should.
Man in the full.
Oh, real quick too, while I get off here, because I done took it out the shelf. I know y'all probably gone, but those that may look in. But I talked about my certificate, saying I was official. So this here is mine. That's my I hate to show my name, my other name, but there is my completion of the class of the SESU SESU graduating from the SESU class, the beginners course, beginners level, back in 2005, which was 3 years ago. So I am official in the language. I took the class, passed the class, part of the group, deal with the language. But again, Shimim Hotel family.